This is the Lenovo T730. It is a pre-built machine on this channel. Yes, it is. So Lenovo and Intel work together on something called the Legion Council, where they get several different, I guess, Twitch streamers, YouTube people, people on Twitter, people who are just in this industry, and they get them together in one room and listen to their ideas. And it was really cool. We just got back from the event. And one of the reasons I said yes to it is they said, we're going to send you a couple products as part of the whole thing, as part of the sponsorship package, and you guys can review those. And one of the reasons I said yes is they said, you guys can say anything you want. In fact, we want all the feedback, especially the negative feedback, so that we can make improvements for future products. And that's something I really appreciate about what Lenovo's doing here, and you know, Intel's supporting them as well on that endeavor. So brought to you by those guys, but everything we're going to say here is unbiased. Now, first off, let's just cover the aesthetics of the system, and then we'll get into the specs, and we'll talk about some benchmarks as well. And I also want to show you guys the features they give you that you don't get when you build something on your own. A lot of you guys are just going to go ahead and build something on your own, and that's totally fine. That is mostly our audience, but understand that there's an audience of people who may just want to have something quick and ready to go, or they just want something like in this form factor with the handle that's no fuss, just grab it and go. So there's different worlds out there. And if you're in one world, don't yell at people who are in the other. All right, so the T730, it's got a minimal footprint, and it's not huge for a mid tower. It's like a micro ATX on the inside, and then we have this handle here on top. We've got a little spoiler right there that some people love, some people hate. And then of course we have RGB with the glass on the side, and then also RGB that you guys can see in the front. And that's handled by some LED light strips right now. Maybe in some future builds they'll switch it out for different fans and stuff, but you guys can go into the software and change this to any color you like and go through a few different modes, and I'll show you that in just a second. On the top over there we've got our power button, audio ports, and two USB 3.0 type A ports. Now this one came equipped with an optical drive, so I'm probably going to unplug that, but it was like, okay, there's a DVD burner on this thing. Sure, why not? Haven't seen one of those in a while. It's a relic from the past. Now, opening this thing up is pretty easy. You just got a couple thumb screws right here, and it opens up just as easily as you would open up any regular case, pretty much. And on the inside, you guys can make changes. You guys can swap things out, and it does not void your warranty, which is something I like about what Lenovo is doing here. For instance, you swap out the graphics card. Well, everything is still covered under warranty except for the piece that you put in there, because that's you're on your own for that piece. All right, let's go ahead and go through the specs on this unit as it's configured. You guys can head over to their website and check this out, the T730 Gaming Tower. Right now, I want to mention that it is at a really good price because the sale price. So if you guys go and you put in this this code here, Legendary 15, that'll give you a pretty big discount, savings of a couple $100, and that brings it down right to about the price that you would be paying if you were building your own system from scratch. Maybe a tiny bit more. That'll cover the cost of assembly. So pretty good deal there. Now we've got an 8700K in here, and we also have a GTX 1060 and a custom Lenovo motherboard. My one gripe about the motherboard is it only has two RAM slots. I was hoping for 4 because I was going to pop 32 gigs of RAM in there with 4 8-gig DIMMs, and that's not an option. Also, they ship this with one 16 gigabyte stick of memory and running at 2666 megahertz. It's DDR4, and that's not going to impact the game performance too much, having one stick of RAM, but that's not what you want. You want dual channel memory. And I talked to Lenovo about this. I brought it up in the council meeting, and they were like, what? We have systems going out with only one channel, one channel, single channel memory. So they said they're definitely going to make sure that doesn't happen. And also, if you guys are ordering this online, make sure that you request 2 sticks of RAM, because sometimes what can happen is the sales guy will look at this and be like, hey, I can save you $50 if we only put 1 stick of RAM in there. And sometimes, Lenovo's a huge company. The sales guys may not know how much that impacts performance, so just be like, no, must have 2. That's important. Also, I told them I was going to be upgrading to 32 gigs of RAM, so maybe that's why they put the 16 in there. I don't know, but single channel RAM is going to be a Lenovo on that one. So as far as storage goes, let me just bring up Specky here on the screen so you guys can see it. All right, so I brought up Specky here just so you guys can see the raw specs. There's the motherboard. It's a Lenovo custom motherboard. Graphics card's actually an Asus. A couple different options for storage. We have an M.2. It's a Toshiba NAND M.2. 120 gigabytes right there. And we also have a 1 terabyte Western Digital hard drive for storage and everything else. I'm probably going to unplug the optical drive and put another SSD in here or something like that. There's not a lot of expansion options for more M.2 and stuff like that. There is a like a wireless card that's plugged into another port. You might be able to remove that and pop something else in there. But I mean, you can upgrade it, but there's just not a lot of options unless you want to go for one of the bigger systems coming out in the future with a full-size motherboard. So as it is right now, a lot of the improvements that you're going to make are going to be like swapping parts in and out for other things. All right, so while we're here looking at the screen, I'm going to go ahead and show you the Legion software, because it's actually pretty cool. So right here, we've got a little bit of an overclock. This will give you a little bit of a boost here. And you can set it up for always overclocking or just when you're gaming, so depending on how you like it. So auto close is a nice little thing. It'll close background applications when you're gaming just to give you smoother performance. So that's pretty cool. Your lighting options here. You can come in and you can change. Let's make it breathe. And let's make it purple. There we go. Got two different zones here that we can play with. Make that one purple as well. And Nightmare Flicker. Well, you know, we're just going to make it on. And on. There we go. Different lighting profiles here. So in the system tools area, we have just some links to helpful things. Hardware Scan can, show you what's going on with your hardware. But you also have, just have a quick link to Windows Update and also Lenovo Update, so you can update your Lenovo apps. If you click on the Windows Update, it brings you to the Windows Update application outside of this program. There's not an enormous amount of stuff going on, but I like the one-click overclock. It's especially good for novices who have not really messed around with overclocking that much. And also, the heatsink on this thing is not going to allow tons of overclocking, but you can get a few hundred extra megahertz out of this without killing your CPU, no problem. And that's not going to void your warranty either, so that's a nice feature to have. Let's go through the benchmarks, shall we? All right, so these benchmarks were done with the overclocking turned off. I'm going to do a separate video with a couple sticks of RAM in there and maybe some more benchmarks. But just as this is configured right now, Shadow of War running at maxed out 1440p. We got 35 FPS, minimum of 22, and at 1080p, 51 FPS, minimum of 24 there. Just turn some of the filters down, and you'll be good to go. Now Doom, we ran that with Vulkan because it just runs so much better in Vulkan. 1440p, completely maxed out, 109 FPS. I want to mention I did turn off motion blur because I think it looks silly. And that's just personal preference. And also I'm running at an FOV of about 100. I think it's a 99 or 100. 1080p, 151 FPS. So The Witcher at 1080p, if you turn everything up, it still punishes just about every graphics card out there. It was very playable, 38 FPS, 38.067. But get this, the low was 36, so it never dropped below that. It was nice and smooth the entire time. I would still recommend turning off some filters and getting like 50 or 60 FPS. At 1440p, we were just at 30.633 FPS, the minimum of 28. So again, turn off some filters and you can even play this game at 1440p at like 50 or 60 FPS. Just get rid of some of the anti-aliasing and stuff. I wanted to do a little bit of a test to see how this could perform when it comes to VR. So I ran superposition benchmark, just maxed everything out, ran it at 1080p. And you guys can see the results on the screen right there. The average of 45.16 FPS. Superposition taxes your GPU more than just about any of the current VR games out there. So if it can run this, it can pretty much run a lot of the stuff that's out there. Here's our 1440p benchmark at 28.86. Now, you do need a lot of resolution for VR. Lastly, we did a canned run of Unigine Valley benchmark. At 1080p, you can see 62.6 FPS with a minimum of 27, and at 1440p, 37.2 FPS with a minimum of 19. All right, so overall, I'm quite happy with this. We're going to use it on the set, and I am going to put some more RAM in there. I'll probably have to see if they'll give me another 16 gig stick because I've only got 8 gig DIMMs around here. But yeah, I want to put some more RAM in there and use this as another computer to do some work on game design and just fooling around with that. But also we're going to use this on the desk as a capture rig. It's way more powerful than the laptop we used to have, even though that one did a pretty good job. But this is going to be nice to have right here on the desk. It's not too big. Love the handle on top. That's personal preference. I actually like the color scheme. It's sophisticated, and that's kind of one of the marketing terms they use, sophisticated, but still for gamers. But it doesn't have that over the top like I'm a gaming computer. This is my first PC, and I'm really want it to be like all blingy and stuff like that. So it doesn't have that going on, but it still has a little style, and I like that. What I'll say is at this price, it's, in my opinion, a really good deal. So if it's on sale, jump on it. If it's not on sale and you're someone who knows how to build your own computer, probably just going to do that anyway. You're probably going to build your own computer. But even then, it's going to be like the features, what you get, the experience, the warranty, and the form factor. Is that something that is worth the price for you? So let me know in the comments how you feel about that. And also say thanks to Lenovo and give them ideas and opinions. So one thing that about this is they're very open to your ideas. So if you think something is a bad idea, don't just jump in there and be like, this is garbage, I hate this. Say like what you would do or how you would change it. They will listen, and I'll go through the comments myself and pick a few of the good ones and send them over to Lenovo, and they've been extremely receptive to feedback. So that's something I want to say thanks Lenovo for doing that. Questions in the comments. See you guys on the forum.